Hi, this is Ryan Lisk from Real Time Coaching. If you're watching this video, you're getting ready to go review part 3 of your Real Time Coaching Talent Insights Report, which we call Integrating Behaviors and Driving Forces. So in part 1, you reviewed your driving forces. In part 2, you looked at your natural behavioral styles. So for this section, we're going to be looking at pages 18 through 24. And on those 6 pages, we're going to cover strengths, conflict, areas for improvement, ideal environment, keys to motivating, and keys to managing. And if you're watching this, you're probably getting ready to go to your next session. And so this is going to be the pre-work, or it's a go-between kind of assignment in between sessions. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you what the exercises are. On page 19, the first list we have a bullet list here that's indicated as potential behavioral and motivational strengths. And what I want you to do on each of the statements, you're going to label each statement 1 through 5, rank each statement 1 through 5. And here's our ranking scale. A 1 would be I totally disagree with that statement. A 2 is going to be I somewhat disagree with that statement. A 3, well, let's call that a neutral. 3 will be neutral. A 4, I somewhat agree with the statement. And a 5, I totally agree with that statement. So for instance, I've put 4 examples down for you as you look here. So my statement number 1 says resourceful and influential in creating effective results. So I totally agree with that statement. So I gave it a 5. My second statement promotes efficiency and results. I gave that a 4, and so forth on down the list. So I want you all to label every statement that you have here, even though I've only shown you 4 examples. Here's one tip that I've learned. Some people will say, well, maybe that second statement promotes efficiency and results. Sometimes yes, but I don't always do it. So I'm going to give that a neutral. I only want you to give something a neutral if it's a statement that's never happened to you before. Otherwise, I want you to have a lean one way or the other, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, okay? So for page 2, conflict, potential behavioral and motivational conflict, or not page 2, it's actually on page 20, but the second exercise for this section. And they call this potential behavioral motivational conflict, but let's be honest, this is your potential weaknesses. And so same exercise here, I want you to rank 1 through 5 using the same scale. 1, I totally disagree. 2, somewhat disagree. 3, neutral. 4, somewhat agree. And 5, I totally agree with that statement. Now, what you might find here, you might find more 1s and 2s that you put on this particular list. But what I want you to do is just reflect and remember, if you had 4s and 5s on that last list and now you start to disagree with things, does that mean it's not true? So this is a really good page for self-awareness, because all of a sudden the report didn't get inaccurate, right, on this particular page. So why so many 1s and 2s? Why are you disagreeing with those? It can be things that you've conquered, you've overcome, but I just want you thinking about why you're disagreeing with statements that are on this particular page. Good page for self-awareness and reflection. On page 21, we have areas for improvement. So these are usually a shorter list, but same exercise 1 through 5. And if you find that you put some 4s and 5s on here, this now becomes, you could turn this page into an action plan for yourself. So if there's something that I agreed with here, that would indicate something that I would probably be willing to work on in the next, let's say, 3 to 4 months, 90 days. I could make some real improvements on this particular page. Now we're going to change from going to 1 to 5 to, we're going to rank on these last 3 pages. We're going to rank your top 3 on each of these 3 pages. So let's start with ideal environment. First, for ideal environment, these are statements that you should enjoy at work. So for instance, let's say that, let's see, I'll put a check mark by one of mine down here. So opportunity to display excitement and fun while getting others to act. So that would be one of my top 3 on this page. This is something I really enjoy. I like having fun, generating excitement, getting others to generate positive results, or they take actions. So I put a check mark by that one. So once I get my top 3 checked off here, I would also like you to put a percentage by each. So for instance, if I've check marked that last statement for myself, what percentage of my job do I get to do that? And so I might say, well, that's probably 10 to 15% of my job is where that is. And so if you're finding that you're checking things off and you're putting zeros down, that would be you like to do things that you're not getting to do on the job. So again, something to kind of check your balance at work, and you're doing things that you enjoy doing. All right, let me clear these. For keys to motivating on page 23, I simply want you to check off your top 3 wants on this particular page, right? And so since you know what do you want is one of our key concepts of real-time coaching. And so this is a really good page for you to think about what are some things that I do want. And I keep these are usually from a business perspective, things that I want at work. And also I would note on this particular page, these don't cost anything. So if on this list, if it said something like, I want a new MacBook Pro, well, that's going to cost something, right? But for these, we're talking about things that don't cost, no hard cost to getting you what you want. So a great place to share these with maybe your boss. And wouldn't you like to have your staff share these with you as well? So you could give them more of what they wanted. And finally, similar page, keys to managing. Check off your top 3 here. What are the top 3 things that you need to do your job? And maybe these tie into the ideal environment page. So I need these 3 things so I can do more of this, right? So you tie these to the ideal environment page. But ultimately, great page for sharing. I like to use these pages when I'm onboarding somebody new. Great place to help have better, richer, more result-based conversations, helping other people get what they need. And it starts with you. So I appreciate you going through those exercises. Have a great time at your next RTC session and keep coaching.